Hello, GerleMen listeners. While we pause our regular episodes and prepare a spectacular Season 2 of the GerleMen Podcast, we'd like you to enjoy some short bonus episodes co-hosted by my dear friend and rambunctious orange nun, Sister Unity, the Sister Unity of the Los Angeles House of Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence that we had in Episode 1. She's hilarious and she's irreverent, but she's also devastating in her academic acumen, and her theater talent is brilliant. You'll hear the joy we have in the laughter while we're digging into these ideas, but her messages are packed with wisdom and insights many girly men will find life-affirming. So enjoy the show, my friends, and pay attention. Remember, you can find us anywhere podcasts can be found, from iTunes to Stitcher to Spotify. Wherever you find us, please hit that subscribe button. Sign up to our newsletter and our website at GerleMen.com. That's GerleMen.com. It's a place to see some of our video outtakes from each episode, or contact us on Facebook. Again, just search for GerleMen. And if you're feeling old school, send me an email at mike@GerleMen.com. Enjoy the show. What does empowerment mean to you? How does that land on Sister Unity's essence?
Politics. How the politics are the personal. Because what do you use your power for? You use it first to create or to find a sense of agency in yourself. Even before agency, which implies an impulse towards action, which we'll get to in a moment, but self-recognition. In Hinduism, the very beginning is the lingam, the pillar. You may see like a picture of Shiva, a Shiva lingam, which is a pillar, and it's on this sort of round base that has a promontory coming off. That's the yoni. And these are metaphors for existence and existing, reality's physicalness and its activeness, which are really two aspects of one thing. I'm using these two words to describe one thing. That's where you get the mythology of Shiva and Shakti, the two gods who are making love. It's the two who are one. It's this nature of reality as both noun and verb. It is existence and it exists. So empowerment is the energy of you in relation to the existence of you, and the acknowledgement or the realization of both. So that very first spark of, aha, I am, that I am here. It's the I am here part of we're here, we're queer, get used to it. That then implies a will to action, or an ability to act, motivation, inspiration, which then quickly becomes anything from sex, romance, acting on love. I mean, if we're talking in the queer realm, speaking up for yourself, speaking up for those like you. All of those, to quote Larry Kramer, to put Larry Kramer in a different context, all of those are political acts. Larry Kramer, every gay kiss is a revolution. Political act. Every gay fuck is a political act in a world where our sex is legislated away.
And I just got goosebumps because I get to tell a story about me.
That's why he does this podcast, everyone. It's not about helping you.
But you talked about that, the kiss being political. I actually did have a lovely, I wish I could find it. It's a picture of me and this other guy kissing during one of those AB 101 protests. It was raining. There were cops there, and we were
back when
kissing.
The cops didn't pummel you.
Yeah, well, they were, that's what I love being queer. During this protest, they wore these blue gloves, and when they were holding the barricades and we were pushing on them, our chant was, your gloves don't match your shoes. Your gloves don't match your shoes. And then a friend of mine, I mean, we never hooked up before or after that, but we made out.
On the police line?
On the police line. And there's pictures of it, and people pushing, the police, whatever, and we're kissing, because
when you kissed, were you just into each other, or were you consciously kissing because it was an act of performance art defiance?
It's exactly that. I mean, when you talked about empowerment, that's when I realized, yes, that's what I felt empowered to do. That act was activism. It was a force that could be harnessed to transmit my dignity.
So as in a previous podcast that we did on celebration, we come to the same common denominator. it all begins with a recognition of self inside. And that then inspires, in one case, celebration. And in this case, it inspires a purpose and call to action, to preserve, to expand, to improve, to free, to allow, to empower, to create the self internally and then externally, to make room for oneself in one's head and heart, and to make room for oneself and others like one in the world. Comes from that recognition of who one is, and then seeing oneself as that celebrated, honored self in juxtaposition to a context, to a society that wants one dead, removed, quiet, invisible. Those are the two pieces of flint clicking together. Recognition of self, negative context, click, and you get the spark of action. Political action.
Yeah. Don Kilhefner talked about some things. I mentioned something that him and a group of wasn't even there. I don't even know if the Radical Fairies existed then or not, but
79.
This may have been before that. A group of queer people decided there were 2 counties in the middle of California that we were just going to move in and become, we were going to switch it blue just by the sheer, there were so few of them that the queer people were going to move there. They moved there. It didn't take, it's the middle of California. That's
dry and hot.
It's dry and hot, so it didn't last.
Lots of cow shit, yay.
But this is what's interesting. That energy must have hung in the air because they're the only 2 counties that remained blue on the Prop 8 vote.
Interesting. Do you know which counties those were?
I should be able to tell you, but they are. I did mention them at the beginning of the Don Kilhefner interview. So
research, children. Archives.
And I think there might even be a link in the show notes to that, because it was just so cool to me that even though they don't have this thriving coven or whatever we wanted to put out there, our energy still must be there to
Here's
make that happen.
A wonderful example of how self-empowerment ultimately can lead to liberation of more than oneself. You were talking about this movement, and I think Harvey Milk told people the same thing. He said, go out and come out of the closet in front of people. And we did this during Prop 8. The strategy was get out to all the red places and the red neighborhoods that voted against our rights and show yourself and let them know who you are. So that takes trusting yourself, knowing yourself, being purposefully yourself, your queer self, in public in front of other people. And self-empowerment, then you are creating an action of exerting your power. And if you've changed a mind of someone who had othered homosexuals and LGBTQ of all types peoples and had rejected them, hated them, seen them as weak and therefore need to be beat up or whatever, if you've changed their mind by opening their mind and changing their perspective and informing them and all the things that happen in an organic conversation where they go, oh, I hated gays, but you're okay. And if you're okay, maybe I can let this go. So there's liberation.
Yeah.
And if they're liberated, then they do less harm to their kids or others who then are.
Well, that just goes into the whole GerleMen philosophy. It's like invest in yourself and then invest in your family, and then you change the world. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode of the GerleMen Podcast. I want to thank Sister Unity for her magic, her wisdom, and most of all for her huge open heart. We started this podcast with a promise that we'd deliver heart-centered connection. Both Sister Unity and I want you to feel the love that we have for ourselves, for each other, and for you, our queer and dear family. We are all one, we are all connected, and we'll see you next time.